So today's video is going to be what would happen if Emily and Hunter never broke up, and if Nochell happened. We're going to start with Emily and Hunter. If Emily and Hunter were still together and didn't break up, these would happen. Though I do think they should have addressed it, because I think it was odd they didn't address it, as a little side note. They didn't break up. When Emily hurts her knee, Hunter would say, "Eldon, let's find a physiotherapist for Emily." Wes would have a chat with Emily because they would be friends. Because I liked their friendship and I don't think it should go to waste. In season 3, Stephanie would go with Emily to the doctors, and Emily would say, "Can we not talk about my knee?" because she would find out her knee's not fully healed. And they would talk about it, and Emily would be like, "I'm gonna dance anyway." Stephanie would text Riley, and Riley would go talk to Hunter, and Hunter would talk to her. Hunter would say, "Are you gonna dance on your knee?" and Emily would say, "Yeah." Riley would say, "Emily's not clear to dance," and Hunter would say, "It's true, Emily, you're not clear to dance." After Hunter lost the dance battle to Eldon, Emily and Hunter would have a heart-to-heart about how they're both not going to internationals. And Hunter would go find another studio and Emily wouldn't be dancing. He said both be reacting to internationals. But because of Hunter not making the internationals team and him going back to his old dance team, they would be long distance because they'd make it work. Season 4, Hunter would talk to James to do the duet and try and get Riley back, because in order to get Riley back he needs to fight for her. Season 5, Emily would hire Hunter to choreograph the hip hop section in her dance. Michelle would hire Eldon to choreograph the contemporary section. Would be nice because Eldon's good at contemporary and Hunter's good at hip hop. Hunter and Emily would be in the office and Daniel would come in and say, "Rochelle's injured." This is later down in the season. Emily would be unsure because Rochelle's not told them that she's injured, but Daniel's noticed it. Daniel would say, "Well, we can't let an injured dancer perform because that's not the policy of the next step." So Emily doesn't take Rochelle off the dance. So Rochelle dances, the team does the qualifier video. Wes and Emily are wondering where Michelle and Emily are because they're waiting to find out whether they've qualified for regionals. Michelle and Emily wonder why Miss Kate wants to talk to them, and they find out Rochelle's in the hospital. Michelle would say, "What happened?" because I have no idea. Emily would say, "Daniel told me Rochelle was injured and Rochelle didn't tell us, so what are you meant to do if she doesn't say anything? We could have just kicked her off the dance, but she might not have been injured, so what are we supposed to do if they don't say something about being injured? You just let them dance because you're not sure." So Emily and Michelle would not be fired. Season 6, they would tell the team when Rochelle's returned and made a full recovery. They would tell the team that they've been to see her in the hospital, and when Rochelle comes back, Emily and Michelle talk to the team about, "It's great to have Rochelle back. We need to talk about what happens when you get injured and how important it is to tell us so we can make sure that nothing happens." Rochelle says, "I'm sorry, I should never have danced on an injury. I should have listened to Lola. Lola was right." Hunter would be in the office. Emily and Eldon, this is in season 7. Hunter would be in the office with Emily, and Eldon would be choreographing Kingston and Lily's duet for nationals, and Nick would be choreographing the dance for Dance Mania. Nick wouldn't be bothered. He just wants Emily to like him and have a good partnership. Hunter wouldn't be bothered about Eldon choreographing because he knows it's nothing personal. He knows what Eldon's strong suits are. So that would be what would happen if Emily and Hunter didn't break up. Next is what would happen if Rochelle and Noah became a couple. Nothing would happen much in season 2, they'd just be friends, but they'd become a couple in season 3. Season 2 they were really young and they would be on J Troop because they would be seen as too young. Season 3 they'd both make the internationals team. Max wouldn't make the internationals team and Abby wouldn't make the internationals team, but she'd go down to B Troop and Max would go back to Elite. So everyone who wanted to join B Troop would join B Troop. Giselle would be dance captain and all the dances for nationals would be assigned. Daniel would replace Chloe because he had more to bring than Stephanie. So the male soloist would be Alden. I would say Amanda would be female soloist because I think she's better dancer than you'd give her credit for. Like, I wish she'd had a storyline of just being better at dance. Then there'd be the 2 to 7 person dance, which would be Sierra, Giselle, Sierra, Giselle, Noah, Rochelle, and Riley. When in the 5 person dance, it would be Daniel, Eldon, Sierra, Talia, and Rochelle. Semi-finals would be everyone except for Michelle and Riley. After the team would be assigned their dances, Noah and Rochelle would be the tiebreaker, so they'd be assigned their dances. Talia and Eldon would get close. James would tell them they can't date until they get 30 pirouettes. Nothing would really happen much until like the party, when Noah and Rochelle officially become a couple at the party. Then there'd be Phoebe deciding that the B troopers should start working more with the A troopers, and it would be Max and Rochelle would be paired. They would do their duet. Jake would be paired with Sierra and Noah would be paired with Beth. So that would be the duets. Phoebe, they'd perform their duets. Noah and Rochelle would still be together in season 4. They'd both make A Troop. Noah would talk to Rochelle saying, I'm going to get my back checked out. What do I need to do? Rochelle would say, you need to tell Riley what really happened at that qualifier. Noah would talk to Riley. Rochelle would go with Noah to the hospital. And Rochelle would visit Noah. And she'd still audition for the qualifier duet. Piper and Alfie would get the duet. And Rochelle would manage rehearsals and visiting Noah because she cares about him as well as dance, so she'd make it work. When Noah comes back, they would do the regional duet. Season 5, Noah and Jackie would start a friendship. Rochelle and Noah would get the duet, they'd work on the duet. Jackie and Noah would be just friends because I like their friendship. Henry and Jackie would be friends as well. Lola would snap Rochelle's point shoes. And she would say, I didn't know what else to do. It's either you don't dance this one time or don't dance the rest of your life. Because she'd be the only one who knows about Rochelle's injury, like Rochelle hasn't told anyone. Lola and Rochelle would have not be friends, and they'd become friends in season 5, but then they'd not be friends by the end. Season 6, Rochelle would be in the hospital. At the end of season 6, episode 2, Rochelle would be back. Rochelle when she was critiquing, she would say Noah just has good technique and can't do more than just good technique. They would have their argument in the locker room because Noah would find this offensive. Promposals, Jackie would go to prom on her own, like no one would really prompose to her. Noah would propose to Rochelle, Henry and Amy would go together, Summer would go on her own, because I really think Summer should have just had a season to establish herself. Like, I don't think she got the respect because she didn't establish her place on the team. Like, if she had just established herself, she would have been fine. Ty and Simone would go together, Ozzy and Winnie would go together, Summer would go on her own, Ozzy and Winnie would be friends. The Nochell episode would happen. Shell would say, you need to go, but we don't need to be broken up. We can manage long distance. So in season 7, Noah would be gone, they'd still be together. And Rochelle would be at the next step, and Noah would be gone, and they'd be long distance. So, hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.